Part 20. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 191. Dr. Guo thought for a while. My brother has an old classmate who is a doctor in your mining area hospital. His name is Wu Zheng, who is also my senior brother. He was originally good at Chinese medicine, but due to the constraints of the situation, he switched to Western medicine. In fact, it is Chinese and Western medicine. Proficient, I offended someone in the past and couldn't stay in the capital, so I tried to transfer to that small mining area hospital, and my life was pretty good. I'll write a letter of recommendation and give it to him when you go back to visit him, so he can take the exam. Zioxiu, if you are willing to accept Zioxiu as your apprentice, that would be great. Dr. Guo felt it was a pity to allow talents like Feng Qingxiu to be lost. Lu Zhang was overjoyed. I would like to thank you on Qingxiu's behalf, Dr. Guo. The results are completely different if you are taught by a master and if you study on your own. The latter depends entirely on your own exploration and can easily get sidetracked. The purpose of studying medicine is to help the world, but the consequences of going astray are terrible. Dr. Guo waved his hand. You're welcome, I just want to help the country cultivate a talent. In the future, if Zioxiu succeeds in her studies, she might be able to join the army like Xiuying to save lives and heal the wounded. You and your wife won't have to be separated by then. She has seen too many soldiers and their families separated from each other. They take care of everyone and often forget their own little home. Some soldiers have not returned home for many years, and their children do not even recognize them, creating a gap that will never be eliminated in their lifetime. Yes. Lu Jiang's movable hand clenched into a fist and punched the armrest of the wheelchair. By then he won't have to suffer the pain of lovesickness. Dr. Guo, when can I be discharged from the hospital? Staying in the hospital now feels like a waste of resources. Lu Jiang's external injuries have been healed, and the internal injuries can only be recuperated, and there is no need to change dressings. He wanted to ask for leave from the army, and Feng Qingxiu went back to his hometown to get married first. I will handle the discharge procedures for you now, but you have to remember that you will come back for a re-examination in 2 months. If you recover well, you can rest for another 3 months for the next round of surgery. Dr. Guo pointed to his injured tendon. Moving the bones of the arms and legs, there are 3 shrapnel in your leg and 1 in your arm. Remember, you cannot do heavy work and your legs should not touch the ground to prevent the shrapnel from traveling in the body and endangering your life. Lu Zhang nodded. Don't worry, Dr. Guo, I cherish my life more than anyone else. After completing the discharge procedures, Lu Zhang successfully applied for injury leave, and the marriage report was also reviewed and approved. After all, it was better for him to rest when he returned to the army in this situation. However, the army arranged for Niu Yubao to follow him and send him and Feng Qingxiu home. On behalf of the leaders and comrades of the army attended the wedding of the 2 people before returning to the army. Feng Qingxiu was happy for Lu Jiang's return home, but also full of reluctance for the doctors and nurses in the hospital. Here, she opened the door to learning and found the direction of life. Under their selfless teaching, she learned a lot of knowledge, which will accompany her throughout her life and never fade away. Lu Zhang handed Dr. Guo's recommendation letter to her and repeated Dr. Guo's words. Feng Qingxiu was immediately filled with joy. It's really great. She hugged the envelope tightly. If Lu Zhang hadn't been there, she would have hidden it in the space immediately to avoid losing it. Don't be so happy so early. Dr. Guo happened to come to them and poured cold water on them. My senior brother has a serious and almost rigid personality. He has only 2 direct disciples under his section. You may not be able to pass him assessment. Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, at least it's an opportunity. Of course it's good if I pass. If I don't pass, it means I have shortcomings and need to work hard. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 192. Dr. Guo nodded, having a new understanding of Feng Qingxiu's open-mindedness. The girl in front of me is gentle and kind, tough, and eager to learn. The most rare thing is that she doesn't try to get into trouble. It is a pity not to give her a chance to become a talent. Talents like her are the most suitable for practicing medicine, because she has a kind heart, and people with kind hearts practice medicine. Far better than the evil-minded. Senior brother Wu has a little-known hobby, that is, he attaches great importance to calligraphy. At the same time, he always maintains neat handwriting when writing prescriptions, and he uses regular script. He is never so quick that even the person who dispenses the medicine can't understand it. Dr. Guo couldn't bear it. Live to mention the point. Lu Jiang was stunned and said with a smile, "Our family's Qingxiu calligraphy is really good." He had read Feng Qingxiu's notes, and there was a sense of style in every word. "That's good." Dr. Guo gave Feng Qingxiu a few more words, all about Lu Jiang's precautions for resting. Feng Qingxiu solemnly thanked Dr. Guo and watched him leave. Lu Jiang was eager to get married, while Feng Qingxiu was eager to visit Wu Zheng to formally learn medical skills. Of course, getting married was also a top priority, so the two quickly booked their train tickets home. With the help of Niu Yubao, the journey was safe and smooth. Things got off the train. The treatment on the train was even better than before. The conductor specially arranged a box with only 4 berths for them. When you get off the train, the conductor will help you pick up your luggage and send it out of the station. As soon as she left the station, Feng Qingxiu saw Wang Zhenqiu and Father Lu waiting anxiously. When Feng Qingxiu left, Wang Zhenqiu and Lu's father learned about Lu Jiang's war. One of them was angry, the other was happy. Wang Zhenqiu was angry because Feng Qingxiu helped Lu Jiang hide the fact that he went to fight. Lu's father was lucky that Lu Jiang walked out of the battlefield alive. As for his meritorious service, no one cared about it and no one mentioned it. Feng Qingxiu sent a telegram back after leaving, and the two of them were finally relieved. Now the two of them went home and sent a telegram in advance. Wang Zhenqiu and Father Lu were waiting at the door of the train station in a mule cart, eagerly watching. When Feng Qingxiu saw them, they also saw Feng Qingxiu and his party. Seeing Feng Qingxiu pushing the wheelchair out, Lu Jiang was sitting on the wheelchair. Lu Jiang's arms and legs were still wrapped in bandages. Father Lu felt so distressed that he almost shed tears. In the end, he endured it. If he shed tears, maybe someone would say that he was unhappy about the country sending Lu Jiang to fight, which would definitely affect Lu Jiang's future. Look again, good guy, with such a rosy face, he is actually a little fatter than last time he went home. Coming. Finally back, Wang Zhenqiu stepped forward to take over the large and small bags carried by Niu Yubao and the conductor. When Father Lu saw this, he quickly helped. The two of them brought a lot of things with them. They couldn't see what was in the luggage bag. They just felt it was heavy. But they could clearly see what was in the net bag outside and what was carried alone. A brand new hot water bottle, a wash basin, enamel jars and other daily necessities. "Dad, Uncle Wang," Lu Jiang called the two of them and said with a smile, "Qingxiu and I are back, and we have worried you two for a while. Just come back, Father Lu stopped forcing anything else. Feng Qingxiu pursed her lips and smiled, Uncle Lu, this is Niu Yubao, Niu brother sent by the army to take care of a Zhang. Comrade Niu, hello. Hello, Wang Zhenqiu shook Niu Yubao's hand, it's hot and steaming outside. Let's get in the car and go home quickly. We'll have a good rest when we get home. We've worked hard all the way. Niu Yubao said honestly, it's not hard at all. Let's go home and rest. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 193. Because Lu Zhang was injured and Feng Qingyun was at her aunt's house, the group returned to Wanglu Brigade first. After the Lu family's new house was completed, Feng Qingxiu met Lu's father several times when she delivered food to her, and she still feels very satisfied when she sees her now. There are 3 mud-tiled rooms in the main house facing north and south. The space is very spacious, with a living room in the middle and 2 bedrooms on the east and west. Other homes have no partitions, but here they are partitioned with adobe walls, leaving a door high for each person. Outside are 2 undivided side rooms with adobe walls and thatched roofs, which can be used to entertain guests and store food. The main house and the side rooms are surrounded by adobe walls as high as 1 person. When the mud is wet, the tops of the walls are covered with dense thorns. A toilet is built at the point where the main house and the west side house are connected. The south side of the east side house is next to the east side house. A kitchen was built between the south wall and the courtyard wall, with the chimney leaning against the courtyard wall and a gate opening directly south of the courtyard wall. No one has lived in the house since it was completed. Before going to pick up Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu, Lu's father and his children cleaned it up. Arriving at the house, Feng Qingxiu found that except for the doors and windows, all the simple furniture was in place. There is a long table at the bottom of the central hall. The table is supported by 2 small cabinets in the east and west. There is a square table and 8 chairs. There is an old-fashioned wooden bed with a footrest in each of the 2 rooms. There is only a wardrobe in the west room, but there is a wardrobe and a high and low cabinet in the east room, and a dressing table stands under the bedroom window. Everything is old elm wood, polished very smooth, wood color, no paint. Wang Zhenqiu smiled and said, "Uncle Lu and I used food stamps or grain to exchange for old elm wood from all over the country, and we also asked a few old carpenters in the brigade to help us build this set of furniture, doors, and windows. Wood is worthless, and grain prices are high. A little grain or a few kilograms of grain stamps can be exchanged for an elm tree. Such a few simple pieces of furniture don't use much wood." Wang Zhenqiu did not forget to buy 2 elm trees for his daughter's dowry furniture. Lu Zhang hurriedly said, "Thank you, uncle, for taking the trouble." Wang Zhenqiu was stunned when he heard him call him that, and then smiled, "Since you call me uncle, then you don't have to be polite." He secretly lamented the fate of Feng Qingxiu and Lu Zhang. "After this incident, I am afraid that the relationship between the 2 will get further. No outsider can destroy it." Feng Qingxiu's face turned red. She glanced around and packed up the things she had brought. She turned around and said to Wang Zhenqiu and Lu's father, "Uncle Lu, uncle, I feel relieved that Ajiang is home safely. I will go pick Xiaoun back home. Home, I have always been thinking about my vegetable garden." Father Lu was just as eager as Lu Zhang to marry Feng Qingxiu. He did not say anything to persuade her to stay, but said, "Let your uncle see you off." Lu Zhang sat in a wheelchair and directed Niu Yubao to bring Feng Qingxiu the large and small bags, hot water bottles, wash basins, enamel jars, etc., and deliver them to the mule cart. He said to the stunned Father Lu and Wang Zhenqiu, "These are all the doctors and nurses at the hospital gave Qingxiu a wedding gift. Let Qingxiu take it home first and bring it over tomorrow." Wang Zhenqiu smiled, and Feng Qingxiu glared at him. She had no choice but to glare at him. So, when they went to Wang Fengqiao's house to pick up Feng Qingyun, Wang Fengqiao couldn't help but pull her to ask what happened. "Lu Zhang was injured on the battlefield. His comrades sent me a telegram. I went to see him. Now I have permission from the army to come back to recuperate. I will take Xiaoun home." After hearing Wang Fengqiao's words, asked about Lu Jiang's injury, Feng Qingyun smiled slightly and said, "Just rest for a few months and then have another surgery." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 194. Since his life is saved, I feel relieved. Will he be disabled? For more than 2 months, Wang Fengqiao was worried to death. Although soldiers are worthy of respect, how can Lu Zhang be worthy of his beautiful niece if he is disabled? However, thinking of his niece's personality, he felt that even if Lu Zhang was disabled, she would not abandon him. Feng Qingxiu said seriously, I asked the doctor, as long as the shrapnel in the arms and legs is removed and he is well, he will be fine. That's good, Wang Fengqiao patted her chest, then you can take Xiaoun home. I guess the Lu family will ask me to come to discuss the wedding date with you in 2 days. She should also prepare to add makeup for Feng Qingxiu. Hearing this, Feng Qingxiu's face turned red again. Auntie. Okay, I won't say anything, you guys go quickly, I won't keep you here. Feng Qingxiu left her 2 cans of malted milk, which were given by Lu Jiang's comrades when they came to visit Lu Jiang. Lu Jiang didn't like to drink it, and Feng Qingxiu didn't like it either, so she brought them back, and Lu Jiang asked Niu Yubao to fill them for her. Wang Fengqiao refused several times but failed to refuse, so she had to accept it. When they got home, Wang Zhenqiu drove away in a mule cart, and Feng Qingyun instantly became lively. Sister, I asked someone to tell my second aunt that she has cleaned the room for us and dried the quilts. Feng Qingxiu took a look and found that the house was indeed clean and spotless. However, there were all kinds of dried and pickled vegetables in the west kitchen. A closer look showed that they were all grown in her own vegetable garden. When she came out and looked at the vegetable garden again, sweet potatoes and potatoes had been planted. I took 2 cans of malted milk to thank Aunt Feng. As the busy farming season had just ended, Aunt Feng, who was holding her grandson and teasing him, smiled and said, You've been gone for 2 or 3 months, and Xiaoun lives at your aunt's house. I think it's a pity for these vegetables to get old, so I pickled and dried the vegetables that can be pickled with your sister-in-law without your consent, and kept them for the winter. Feng Qingxiu was very grateful. Thank you, aunt, and thank you, sister-in-law. Why should I thank you? We have benefited a lot from you this year. Aunt Feng saw the 2 cans of malted milk she brought and said, I heard that Lu Zhang was injured in the war. You should leave it for him to replenish his body. Why give it to us? Aunt has said that we are family. Why should we be polite? Lu Zhang doesn't like to drink it. He brought back the one sent by his comrades and said that he would give them to relatives and friends to try. He would trouble relatives and friends in the future. Lu Zhang said that he had to build good relationships with his wife, father, nephew, and others when he was injured and respected by everyone, so that he would suffer less grievances from his bad background in the future. Feng Qingxiu looked at the baby in the arms of the second aunt, who was dark and thin, not white and fat at all, and whispered, Aunt has Xiaobao at home, give the malted milk to sister-in-law to drink, add some milk to feed Xiaobao. Second Aunt Feng did not refuse, she thought so too. She also felt sorry for her daughter-in-law's lack of milk and her grandson's pitiful thinness. However, she couldn't take her niece's things for free. Now that she was getting married, second Aunt Feng thought about taking out a quilt cover and quilt lining that she brought as a dowry and giving it to Feng Qingxiu as a dowry. When Feng Qingxiu returned home, she sorted out the things she brought. A pair of red iron thermos, a pair of enamel basins with white background and red flowers printed with the words Dongfang Hong, a pair of white enamel jars printed with the 5 words Working people are the most glorious, a pair of red pillow towels with dragon and phoenix double happiness, a bundle of fabrics woven and dyed by ethnic minorities in the Southwest, etc., were all dowries given to her by doctors and nurses who had been with her. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 195. Thinking of the word dowry, and then recalling the joke of the person who gave the gift, Feng Qingxiu couldn't help but blush. Sister, your face is so red, Feng Qingyun shouted. Feng Qingxiu came back to her senses and said seriously, although the busy farming season has passed, the weather is still very hot. I took the train for half a month and was tired all the way home, so it is hot. Feng Qingyun made a sound, and then said, "Sister, it's a good thing you weren't at home when we were cutting wheat, otherwise you would have been exhausted. I feel tired just looking at it. It's cutting, beating, drying, and drying again. Harvest, many people say that God is not generous. It rained heavily during the wheat harvesting. Why did it rain in the spring but rain in the summer? A lot of wheat did not have time to be harvested, and the wheat grains were not dried in the sun. The ones were covered with straw mats and sprouted in the heat, almost not enough to pay for the public food." Hearing what she said, Feng Qingxiu frowned. She could completely imagine the busy scene and despair, and asked in a low voice, "Is this year's harvest bad?" Back when it didn't rain in the spring, everyone was certain that the harvest would not be good. Feng Qingxiu left just before the busy farming season, so she didn't know the situation at home. "No, everyone said that they will starve again in the second half of the year," Feng Qingyun replied. Feng Qingxiu sighed softly. However, Feng Qingyun changed the subject. Not only the uncle, but also the second uncle was ruthless. No matter what the regulations from above were, he was determined to let everyone grow as many sweet potatoes, corn, and potato seeds as possible. "I also plant them on my own land, and I say these three things have high yields. If I'm lucky, the harvest will be enough to prevent people from starving to death in the brigade. It is stipulated from above that only fruits and vegetables can be grown on private land, not crops." One can imagine the risks Wang Zhenqiu and Feng Xuanxiao took by doing this. The people below are not ignorant. Those with larger families are allocated more private land. Planting crops can add a lot of food to the family. They are grateful and cover this matter tightly. Who will come to see their production brigade? When they come to the crops on private land, they say that it is not private land but public land. Because we can't live without eating vegetables in the winter, every household sets aside some land for growing vegetables. They point to the private land where vegetables are grown and tell outsiders who ask about it that it is private land, so they fool around. What Wanglu Brigade and Kahua Brigade did was actually the result of a joint discussion between Wang Zhenqiu and Feng Xuanzu. No one in the Wanglu Brigade died of starvation last year. Feng Xuan was envious and went to ask him personally. The common people were grateful for the kindness of these two party secretaries, so they were particularly enthusiastic when they saw Wang Fengqiao, who came to Feng Qingxiu. As a result, Wang Fengqiao did not forget to praise Feng Qingxiu when she arrived at Feng Qingxiu's house. Feng Qingxiu learned the truth from her sister and pursed her lips with a smile. After returning with Lu Zhang, she stopped darkening her face, but still put on makeup, revealing only 3/5 of her original beauty. 3 to 5 points is enough, and a smile blooms like a flower. Wang Fengqiao took her hand and sighed, "She is so handsome and has such a kind heart. No wonder Lu Zhang can't wait for a moment." "No, you just got home yesterday, and his father came to ask for me early this morning. I discussed the wedding dates with you and found 3 dates, one on June 26th, one on June 28th, the second day of the beginning of autumn, and one on the 8th day of July, the second day of Chinese Valentine's Day. Farmers choose dates for weddings in the lunar calendar, which is August according to the solar calendar. Today is the 18th day of the 6th lunar month, and there are only 8 days left to the 26th day. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 196. Just based on the date mentioned by Wang Fengqiao, Feng Qingxiu understood what Lu Zhang was thinking. Then let's set it at 28. I have to prepare for it. Lu Zhang must have known that he would choose a day that would not slip away. Choosing the first one seemed to be eager and disrespectful, and choosing the last one was afraid that Lu Zhang would not get a lot of money. Good care, so they deliberately chose June 26th in the first place, and July 8th in the back. Okay, I'll reply to the Lu family right now, scheduled for June 28th. Wang Fengqiao smiled, don't go out to work during these 10 days, and take care of yourself at home. In your hands, if you have money and tickets, I know it was given to you by Lu Zhang, so what? Take the money and tickets and go to the city to buy yourself some suitable dowry. It's best to bring back some cotton. I have 2 pieces of good silk in my hand. Lu Jiang's grandma gave it to me when I left the government. I'll ask Quanfu to make you a new quilt and a suitcase jacket. Wang Zhenqiu gave Feng Qingxiu 2 large red lacquer boxes, a basin stand, and a toilet. Because the Lu family had prepared furniture, he only bought these few things for his niece when buying her daughter's dowry. He decided to stuff some gold and silver at the bottom of the box for her to look good on when he came to add to the wedding eve. The buns have meat but not in the pleats. Feng Qingxiu went to the city and brought back a large bundle of cotton batting and a bundle of fabric, which were actually from space. Second, Aunt Feng took out the quilt cover and quilt lining she had prepared, as well as the silk and satin sent by Wang Fengqiao, and asked her daughter-in-law and the Quanfu people in the neighborhood to help make quilts, clothes, and shoes and socks. Only a woman who has both parents, parents-in-law, brothers, sisters, and sons who have not died in infancy can be called a fully blessed person. The wedding quilt, the coat and shoes packed in the box, the clothes for the wedding, and the shoes for returning home. Enough for a group of people from Quanfu to work for several days. Nowadays, people live in poverty. Many young men and women just wear old clothes or borrowed clothes without patches. After being notarized by the old man, they roll up their bedding and live together, and they are considered married. There is no betrothal gift or dowry. At most, you will receive some daily necessities as gifts from relatives and friends. In fact, it is not that there are no betrothal gifts. Many families use grain as betrothal gifts. 100 pounds of coarse grains can marry a beautiful girl. Lu Zhang was a soldier and was not short of money. Feng Qingxiu had many wedding gifts from others, and her uncle and aunt were not stingy, so everyone in the Feng family wanted to marry their daughter in a glamorous manner and tried their best to help. Marriage is the most important moment in her life, and Feng Qingxiu attaches great importance to it. She went to the city again and bought a pair of Lantang leather shoes for herself, a pair of 3-jointed leather shoes for Lu Zhang, 2 thick square scarves, 1 red and 1 blue, and a big red gauze scarf. Gold and silver threads are crisscrossed and very elegant. When she came out and met Aunt Su, when she saw what Feng Qingxiu was holding, Aunt Su knew that she was getting married. She couldn't help complaining, "Look at you, girl, it's okay to have no news for a few months, but you didn't tell us that you were about to get married. Although your uncle and I can't attend your wedding, we should give you some makeup because of your great kindness." After saying that, he asked Feng Qingxiu to find a place where there was no one to wait for him, and then ran away. When she came back more than half an hour later, Aunt Su secretly stuffed a small cloth bag for her and said, "After you get married, live a good life. The recent busy farming season has just ended, and the food supply is sufficient. We don't need you to worry about it here." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 197. Feng Qingxiu couldn't refuse it, so she had to take it and get a heavy one. She didn't dare to open it in person. On the way back, she discovered that Aunt Su had given her a small box of gold. Small and delicate gold ingots, about the size of a thumb, are arranged neatly in 3 rows, 8 in a row, on 2 levels. Feng Qingxiu heard Aunt Su mention it once, saying that she and Uncle Su hid some gold in the old house and never had a chance to get it. If I gave myself such a box of gold today, does it mean that the 2 elders have had the opportunity to take out the gold? Definitely is. Other than that, there is no second explanation. She still remembered that Aunt Sue laughed and scolded those old friends that they were all human beings among the best. She first exchanged the jewelry and jade that could not be sold for food, but she held the gold tightly in her hands, hoping to keep one for herself. Way back. In addition to the box of gold, the cloth bag also contained a pair of boxwood combs and a small round mirror in the style of the Republic of China. The back of the round mirror seemed to be a portrait of a female star from the Republic of China. She was wearing a close-fitting cheongsam that showed off her curvy curves, red lips, and slender eyebrows. Feng Qingxiu looked familiar but couldn't remember who it was for the moment. Gold cannot appear in front of others, so Feng Qingxiu put it into the space, along with the small round mirror. At the same time, she took out the things she had organized in the space one by one. Because that cultural catastrophe has not yet come, the current clothing is not completely uniform in the three colors of black, blue and gray. Usually Feng Qingxiu can occasionally see women wearing bright and delicate colors. Although the number is very small, most of them are still black, blue and gray. So, she first took out a piece of red fabric from the space and planned to make a shirt for herself. Not wearing red when getting married seems to be a little less joyful. She wanted to make a red skirt, but according to the information she saw in the space, a few years later, in the mid-1960s, clothing such as cheongsams, high heels, skirts, and suits would be classified as exotic clothes and classified as closed qualification or something like that. In order not to leave any trouble, she chose to make shirts. A red shirt paired with a pair of black trousers looks very good in this era of mending and mending. As soon as she arrived home, Feng Qingxiu heard a loudspeaker called by Feng to get letters and packages. Who sent the package? Everyone was curious. Lu Zhang was at home and so close, so there was no need to send letters or things at all. So, after Feng Qingxiu got a letter and 2 packages, all the Quanfu people who were helping her at home gathered around and asked in all directions, "What is it? Who sent it to you?" Feng Qingxiu read the letter first, her heart widened and a smile appeared on her face. The leader of Ajiang's army sent it specially, saying it was a wedding gift for Ajiang and I. In fact, he knew Feng Qingxiu's family situation and sent it to her as a dowry to support the occasion. Several insiders knew how important the equipment Feng Qingxiu gave Lu Zhang was. The men in the army have a bold personality, and the gifts they give are very simple and crude. Master Ye presented a military ration stamp with a denomination of 100 kilograms, and Zheng Suifeng presented a red double happiness towel and quilt. However, Zhao Yong presented more varieties, which should have been prepared by his wife Guo Xiuying, including a pair of embroidered mandarin ducks playing in the water, pillowcases and a pair of red double happiness pillow covers, a purple corduroy quilt top with a red plaid cotton quilt lining, a black and red plaid duffel coat, a pair of army green polyester cardigan pants, and finally 2 bottles Yashuang cream and 2 boxes of clam oil. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 198. Aunt Feng patted her thigh and said, "There just happens to be some cotton left, so I can make another quilt just in time." "Mom, isn't this bad? You give me a quilt with a lining, and Qingxiu and her aunt give me a quilt. If I make this extra quilt, it adds up to 3 quilts. How can there be no mismatched ones?" Feng Mahian, my aunt's daughter-in-law, hesitated slightly, but the corduroy quilt was much more high-end than the large floral coarse cloth given by her mother-in-law, and it looked more elegant. "Isn't there a towel quilt given by leader Lu Zhang? A towel quilt is also a quilt." Hearing what she said, the person in charge of making the quilt, Quanfu, nodded, said okay, shook out the quilt cover, spread it flat, spread a layer of cotton batting, and then put the quilt cover back on. After making it smooth, he started to fly the needle. Wire. Feng Qingxiu finished packing her things and made her own red shirt. The style of the shirt is the same as now, except that the waist is slightly pinched. Just a little bit, Pinching too much to reveal the curves of your body will only make people scold you for being inappropriate. With the strength of many people, the quilt was quickly made, folded in a square shape, and stacked on Feng Qingxiu's bed. The people present were very envious and said that they didn't even have a new quilt when they got married. Feng Qingxiu smiled slightly. Aren't the days getting better and better? If it weren't for everyone's help, how would I have these things? Yes, as time goes by, the better. Maybe my daughter will be able to make 10 or 8 quilts when she goes out. Everyone laughed and made fun until early the next morning, when Wang Fengqiao and Wang Zhenqiu brought people to deliver the betrothal gift. In fact, the order is a bit reversed. Generally, the betrothal gift is given first and the wedding date is set. However, nowadays, people are not very particular about it. Even the process of making an appointment is simple, not to mention that the appointment is only made 2 days before the wedding date. As soon as they heard that the Lu family was hiring, many people went out to watch the excitement. Good guy. A sewing machine and a bicycle were tied to the mule cart, with big red flowers tied on them. Butterfly brand sewing machine, Fige brand bicycle. Brand new, shiny, and shining with an extremely bright light, making everyone present extremely envious. Especially the women who were envious of Feng Qingxiu's 4 quilts yesterday, their eyes almost bulged out when they saw it. Compared with what is in front of them, those new quilts are nothing. 3 turns and 1 beep, that's 2 turns. All we need is a watch and a radio. I often hear people who have been to the city say that when someone gets married, they ask for 3 ringings and 1 ringing. I didn't expect that the Lu family would actually give 2 ringings. How generous! A skinny camel is indeed bigger than a horse. You can't say that. The Lu family has lost everything a long time ago. Who doesn't know it? The Lu family can afford such a betrothal gift entirely because of Lu Zhang. Isn't it said that he made great contributions on the battlefield? His injury is not healed yet. Yes, there is a People's Liberation Army member in his family who is taking care of Lu Zhang. It can be seen that Lu Zhang will be promoted sooner or later if he has made meritorious service. This little girl Shui is so lucky. People used to say that the compositions of the 2 families are not equal, but when I see such a betrothal gift, I am willing to do it even if the compositions are not equal. It doesn't mean you can afford it with good composition. Uncle Feng and Aunt Feng were also surprised and hurriedly went up to them with the elders of the clan. Uncle Xiaoxiu, is this the betrothal gift from the Lu family? After hearing Uncle Feng's words, Wang Zhenqiu smiled heartily and said in a loud voice, several of Lu Jiang's comrades working in the city heard that he was getting married, so they tried their best to get a sewing ticket and a bicycle ticket. Lu Jiang's salary has not been used recently, so he took the money and asked me to go to the city to retrieve these 2 big items. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 199. Feng Qingxiu was stunned when she heard the sound. She had never heard Lu Zhang talk about this incident. It might have happened in the past few days. After the wedding date was set, the 2 did not see each other again. Wang Fengqiao opened a camphor-wood box on the mule cart that had been covered with vermilion paint but had been ignored by everyone. She opened it and showed it to everyone. She smiled and said, the Lu family doesn't have anything good, but Lu Zhang has been a soldier for many years and has saved some wages. After counting the votes, I prepared 88 yuan, a fleece jacket and trousers, a polyester cardigan suit, a pair of blue tang leather shoes, and a 3-foot red headband. It's very lavish, enough for the people of Kahua Brigade to talk about it for 20 years. Knowing that the Kahua Brigade was having a hard time, Wang Zhenqiu and others did not stay to eat. They drank a bowl of sugar water and left. Before leaving, Wang Fengqiao pulled Feng Qingxiu into the back room, took out 2 handkerchiefs and gave them to her, and whispered, "When you pack the boxes the day before you get married, your uncle and I will come to add makeup to you. Now I'll give it to you, you can't take it out in front of everyone, but keep it yourself. The 2 rings were given to you by me, and the handkerchief was given by your uncle. No one told anyone." The implication is that Wang Fengqiao's husband doesn't know, and neither does Wang Zhenqiu's wife. Feng Qingxiu waved her hands repeatedly and refused to continue. "Auntie, you and several uncles have already helped me a lot, and you have been busy with my marriage recently. How can I accept your things again? Take it." Wang Fengqiao forced it into her hand. "Although we don't have any expensive dowry to compare with the 2 big items of bicycles and sewing machines, we can't do without something at the bottom of the box, lest we marry and let the Lu family look down upon us. Oh. Besides, these things were given to me and your uncle by the old lady of the Lu family when we got married, and now they are just returned to their original owners." Feng Qingxiu had no choice but to accept it, secretly thinking that she would honor her uncles and aunts after they got married. As for her uncle and aunt, whom she has never met since her rebirth, she said she didn't even recognize them when they met. There were many people busy during the day, so Feng Qingxiu waited until her sister was asleep at night before opening the 2 handkerchief bags. One contained 2 gold rings, one was set with a ruby, and the other was set with a sapphire. The gemstones were not big, and the other was wrapped in a handkerchief. 2 thin solid gold bracelets and 4 small gold claws. The gold claws are in the shape of peanuts, gourds, grapes, and pomegranates. They are about the size of fingertips and are very delicate and cute. Seeing such a thorn, Feng Qingxiu blushed. Gourds, grapes, and pomegranates have the meaning of having many children in traditional culture, while peanuts mean that you will have children early. It seems that, as my aunt said, it was given to me by the old lady of the Lu family when they got married. In the blink of an eye, it was the eve of the wedding, and Feng Qingxiu finally no longer had to face the neighbors who came to see their sewing machines and bicycles every day. Rare, so rare. Everyone wanted to come here and learn more about it. They would wipe their hands clean when they touched it. Their attitude was so cautious. It made Feng Qingxiu feel sad and funny at the same time, so he didn't stop them, and they just enjoyed it. In the evening, people from Quanfu packed and sealed the boxes, and the elders came over to add makeup to her before packing. Adding makeup was an old saying, but it is rarely popular now because every household has a hard time and has nothing to add makeup to. Among the Kahu brigade, only Hungling's mother gave 2 pairs of embroidered insoles made of red water chestnuts. Aunt Feng's daughter-in-law Mahian gave a handkerchief, Feng Xuanzu's family gave a pair of grates, and Feng Teng's family gave some needles, thread, and a copper thimble. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 200. Aunt Feng had given the quilt and quilt lining before, and had already made the quilt and placed it on the bed. This time, she had nothing to add to it. The 4 Wang Zhenqiu brothers and sisters took pity on this niece who had no father or mother and still had to take care of her younger sister. They rushed over without even leaving the ground. Uncle Feng and Aunt Feng entertained us very warmly. They were also convinced by Feng Qingxiu's brother and sister-in-law. They pretended not to know that their sister was getting married. Everyone from the clan, old and young, came to help and treated it like a grand event. The 2 couples were completely nowhere to be seen. Whether the brother and sister can reconcile depends entirely on their daily behavior. If they miss this time, there will be no chance of reconciliation in the future. There was also Feng Qingxiu's aunt and uncle, who never showed up. As my nephew, I have no father or mother. I have no brother and sister-in-law. The dowry is all my nephews and son-in-law's comrades. You give 1 thing and I give 2. That's how we are now. As her uncle and aunt, we 4 brothers I scraped together 16 yuan to put in the box for her. Wang Zhenqiu took out most of it himself and handed it to Ma Hin, who was in charge of packing the box. Ma Hin is the daughter-in-law of second uncle Feng and Feng Qingxiu's cousin-in-law. According to local customs, a married woman's sister-in-law should be the one to pack the box. Those who are close should use her sister-in-law, and those who are not close should use her cousin's sister-in-law. However, Feng Qingxiu and her brother and sister-in-law were not on good terms, so Ma Hin took her place. Immediately afterwards, Wang Zhenqiu took out 8 more silver dollars and said with a smile, "My father saved these all his life to pack for his children." Second Uncle Wang and Third Uncle Wang were the most practical, each carrying a sack of grain as a dowry for their niece. Aunt Wang put a pair of slightly black but exquisitely engraved old silver bracelets on her niece's hands and said with a smile, "My mother gave them to me when I got married, and now I give them to her granddaughter as a dowry." In the bank, $1 silver can be exchanged for $1, and the price of silver bracelets is also limited. Therefore, compared with the betrothal gifts from the Lu family, these things are not worth mentioning at all. Although some people envy Feng Qingxiu for marrying a good uncle and aunt, the impact of these things on them is far less than that of sewing machines and bicycles. It was a sudden shock. After a while, the men went out and Ma Hin started packing the boxes in front of Wang Fengqiao and Feng Qingxiu. There were many women watching the excitement in the room. They watched her first put money and marriage in the 4 corners of a box, and then put in a pair of leather shoes given by the Lu family and the 3 jointed leather shoes she bought for Lu Zhang. There was a pair in each shoe. New socks, then folded Feng Qingxiu's new clothes and a red and blue scarf and placed them on top of the shoes, and placed a pair of dishes and chopsticks on top of the clothes. Of course, except for the red shirt, black pants and blue tang leather shoes that I will wear tomorrow. The last things that were put in were pillow towels, combs, grates and other items given by each store, as well as cream and clam oil. Wang Fengqiao handed Ma Hin a rolling pin, 2 small bamboo baskets and 2 bags of fruits that she had brought. Ma Hin put them in, then put in wheat bran wrapped in red paper, then closed the box and locked it. The key was handed over to Feng Qingxiu and finally a red paper seal was affixed. As for the other box sent by Wang Zhenqiu, it contained Feng Qingxiu's old clothes, shoes, and other items, which will not be taken away tomorrow. Because the Lu family gave a box when they were hired, Ma Hin packed a few new clothes from the Lu family for Feng Qingxiu in it, so she sealed the box. Therefore, the dowry box will go out with Feng Qingxiu together with this box, rather than the other one sent by Wang Zhenqiu. Boxes should be kept in pairs. After finishing all this, we are just waiting for tomorrow's official day. Yesterday, Wo said that he would update this article at noon, but Wo said that what he updated at noon was a genius calculation. Another article of Wo said, face covering. While I'm suffering from a cold, I can barely maintain the previous update volume, and there is no way to update more for the time being.